Okay, let's go. I'm going to go over the homework, and then I'll roll right into the lesson, assign homework, and that'll be it for today. Next class will be review. The class after that, Friday, will be a test. Okay. So write an equation in slope-intercept form through the given point and with the given slope. Okay. And this was a section about point-slope form, right? So honestly, we know how to do that using slope-intercept form in a way, but the whole point of this was to use this. The point-slope form looks like this. Yes. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what are you supposed to plug into point slope? A point and the slope, which is exactly what you're given, right? So you would plug in the m goes here. The 2 is the x1. That'll go here. And the 1 is the y1. That goes there. So plug for all those things. Y minus 1 equals 3x minus 2. But that's point slope form. And sometimes it asks for that. But this time it said write it in slope-intercept form. Okay, how do you put it in slope-intercept form? Solve for y, right? That's all. Simplify, solve for y. For example, what property do I need to use on the right? Distributive. Y minus 1 equals 3x minus 6. Okay, solve for y. What do I need to do next? Pat, you paying attention? What do I have to do to solve for y? Okay, but look at where we are. What do we have to do? Add 1, right? Add 1, add 1. So this one was y equals 3x minus 5. Right? Let's try another one. Let's try the number 3. Let's try the number 3 over here. Okay, again, we're going to start with y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Right? Using this information right here, what do I plug in for y? Aquarius. Quiet, please. Quiet, or else you got detention, okay? I just asked you to be quiet, and I'm up here teaching. You understand? Understand? You, be quiet. That was yelling? Be quiet. I asked you a couple times, be quiet. Okay? What do I plug in for the y1 here? 11, right? This is x1, y1. Y minus 11. Okay, what do I plug in for the m? 3/4. Okay, what do I plug in for x1? -4. Okay, so simplify. Y minus 11 equals 3/4 times x plus 4, right? Take a step and get rid of the minus and negative. It'll save you making mistakes later. Okay, then what? Then we distribute, right? So 3/4 here, 3/4 times 4. Y minus 11 equals 3/4 x plus, what's 3/4 times 4? 3, right? The 4 cancels with the 4 plus 3. Okay, one last step. Add 11. Okay. So it said put it in slope-intercept form, so you have to start with this, plug in for what they, x1, y1, and m, solve for y. Okay, now graph, if it's in the point-slope form, you should be able to pull out of it a point and the slope, right? It's kind of like graphing in slope-intercept form, It's just slope-intercept form, it's always one particular point that we know. What's the point that we know in the first equation here? What's the x1, y1? Yeah, remember that the formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So if you have a plus in the parentheses, that means it's negative 3. It's x minus a negative. So the x1, y1 in this problem is negative 3, 2. Right, so start there, not at the y-intercept. Start at negative 3, positive 2. And then use the slope, right, to find another point on the line. So how am I going to go from that first point to another point? Up to right 1. Right, up to right 1. There's your line. Could have hit that a little better. Right, what's this one here? What's the point? Negative 5, negative 1. So negative 5, negative 1. Okay, what's the slope? 3/5, which is telling you to go, it's actually a negative there, isn't it? That's supposed to be a negative. I think the font doesn't show up. Telling you to go down and to the right. Down 3, right 5, draw another point. There's the line. Okay, so the last kind of a line that we learned about is called standard form. And so far, we know that we can graph lines in slope-intercept form. We use the y-intercept and the slope. We can graph in point-slope form. We use the slope and any point, just like we did in that. Standard form, you use two particular points. Use the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Right, the standard form is given by ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are real numbers. They're just constants of some kind, including they could be 0. So here is this is a standard form of a line. 3x plus 4y equals 24. Now, if you were told to graph it, yes? I can't hear you. Yes, that is what we're going to do right here, right? A lot of times when students get this on a test, they solve for y, and then they try to do it as a slope-intercept, which is fine. You know, if you do it right, that's fine. But it's actually, I think, a lot easier than that. You know, in order to get the x-intercept, you substitute y equals 0 and solve for x. But when you put in a 0 in place of the y, what happens to that whole term, 4 times y? 4 times 0 is 0, right? It drops out. And all that's left is just 3x equals 24. If 3x equals 24, then x equals 8. Right? There's one point, the x-intercept, right? That's the point, 8, 0. Right? In order to find the y-intercept, you substitute x equals 0. So in the place of the x here, put a 0. What happens to that whole term when you put a 0 in place of x? It's 0. So really all you have to solve is 4y equals 24, which means y equals 6. So there's another point. Again, how many points do we need to draw the line? 2, and there you have them. And you didn't have to solve for y or do any of that stuff. So why does it work that we should be able to substitute 0 for one, solve for the other, and vice versa? Because if you look in the coordinate plane, right, on the x-axis, what is the value of y everywhere on the x-axis? It means the y-coordinate is telling you how much are you above or below the middle. Well, the x-axis is right in the middle, up and down, vertically. So on the x-axis, y equals 0. That's why if you substitute y equals 0, you're going to find the place where it crosses the x-axis. In the same way, on the y-axis, right, the x-coordinate, which is telling you how much are you to the left or to the right of the middle, is 0, because you're right in the middle. Right? That's why that's the strategy to find intercepts. And we use that strategy not just on straight lines, we use it on any kind of function when we start learning about other kinds of functions. So, what are the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts of this equation? 5x minus 6y equals 60. Again, what is the strategy? Substitute zeros, solve for the other. Okay. Now, when you do it, if you have it written on a piece of paper like that, you could probably do this with your finger. You know, for me, I'm going to use my hand. But if I want to solve for the x-intercept, I'm going to substitute y equals 0. So that whole term drops out. So I'm just going to, one at a time, cover up the negative 6y. That means 5x equals 60. So x equals 12. Right? And then I'll do the other, cover up the first term, negative 6y equals 60, so y equals negative 10. I mean, you could put the intermediate steps like they did on the last one. I mean, I could have a step here that says 5 times 5x minus 6 times 0 equals 60, 5x equals 60, or, you know, just cover one up at a time like that. Get your 2 points. Right, what about the next one? Right, how do I find the x-intercept? Cover up the y. What does x equal? 3x equals 12, x equals 4, right? Right, now cover up the x. 8y equals 12, so y equals, y equals 12 over 8, which you can simplify, that's 3/2. Right, on a graph, you'd be looking for 1.5. So just cover up one, cover up the other. Solve quickly. You don't have to solve for y, put it in slope-intercept form, all that. It's much easier if you just get used to using standard form. So we'll graph one, right? What is the graph of x minus 2y equals negative 2? So for the x-intercept, cover up the second term. What does x equal? Negative 2. For the y-intercept, cover up the x. Y equals 1, right? Negative 2 times y equals negative 2. Divide by negative 2, y equals 1. So there's your 2 points. Draw the line. Right, same thing. Right, what is the x-intercept? 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what is the y-intercept? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jumped. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's the line. Okay, they have this extra little topic, which honestly I did not expect in this section, and I'm not sure how great it is, other than, it's never a bad time to think about horizontal and vertical lines, because we make so many mistakes with those, not just in this class, in every class. There will be mistakes made because students really don't have a grasp on these things. In this section, they reduce a vertical line or a horizontal line to the standard form. Like, x equals 3, it doesn't have a y, which tells you what? That it's actually 0 times y. So you could think of it as 1x plus 0y equals 3, and then graph it, right? Cover up the middle term, 1x equals 3, so x equals 3. Okay, and you can cover up that. If 0y equals 3, what would y equal? No, because what times 0 equals 3? Nothing, right? Because 0 times anything is 0. So that's undefined. Here the main point is that for this line, every point has an x-coordinate of 3, right? And there is no y-intercept. That's why you couldn't solve it when you did this kind of thing. So it's a vertical line. Right? Same thing, y equals 3, that means that there is no x term. So if I can find the y-intercept, 1y equals 3, so there's the y-intercept. But if I tried to find the x-intercept, it wouldn't make sense because 0x equals 3. There's no value of x for which that's true, right? So that's our horizontal line. So what is the graph of x equals 4? Is it vertical or horizontal? It's vertical. Remember, think of it, just plot a bunch of points that all have an x-coordinate of 4, right? Here, 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 here. Connect them with a line. That's the graph, right? X equals -1. Where is it going to be? It's going to be going through x equals -1, right there. Right? But y equals 0. Where am I going to find the line y equals 0? It's a horizontal line, right? Just think every point on this line has got a y-coordinate of 0. Okay, well that means it's right in the middle, right on the x-axis, so there's your line. And y equals 1. It's got a y-intercept of 1 and never touches the x-axis. There you go. Which one of those, vertical or horizontal, could be considered slope-intercept form? Yeah, this one really is, remember, this is like y equals 0x plus 1. That's definitely slope-intercept form. Slope is 0, y-intercept is 1, right? But a vertical line, x equals a number, you can't put in slope-intercept form because there's no y. You got to have a y, right? So the only way that you can write a vertical line would really be considered to be standard form, right? Can't be slope-intercept. Okay. So our homework, that is incorrect. What page is that? 155? 155. I'm sure that is 1 through 20, not 10 through 20. One through 20. They should go fast and you should be working on it. We've got half hour. There's no reason not to be done.